Fire, to borrow a phrase from a modern myth, gives us the power of the sun in the palm of our hand. Our ability to create and harness fire is a key that unlocks light and heat imprisoned in matter, from the ephemeral sugars of a blade of dry summer grass to the sludgy primeval hydrocarbons of 1 billion-year-old oil. It is not disputed that fire has been the beating heart of human technology, from the dawn of our species to the present day, where combustion is still the source of the majority of energy worldwide. While the vital role it has played in technology is readily apparent, it also cannot be overstated how important fire was in our biological and cultural evolution. Homo sapiens likely would not exist without fire. Our precursors, Homo erectus, were the first of our ancestors to harness fire, and the ability to warm ourselves and cook our food caused slow biological changes that would eventually render us an entirely different species. Fire allowed us to shed more of our body hair, grow larger brains, and survive in colder climates, allowing our ancestors to proliferate and thrive across the planet, even in the freezing winters of the last glacial maximum. Fire transformed our lives not just technologically and biologically, but socially as well. The nighttime hours were no longer a time of huddling for warmth in the darkness, but now became a time of social bonding through cooking, storytelling, and art. The cave paintings of the distant past that still inspire awe in us today would not have been possible without a deep familiarity with the use of fire, not only to illuminate the subterranean canvas, but also to render charcoal and animal fat for pigment. Some anthropologists even theorize that fire led to the development of language as we know it, with the extended social time of sitting around a fire leading to leaps in human communication and even the development of the first oral traditions. These oral traditions, born around a fire, were likely very concerned with fire and how we came to harness it. I believe we can still see this in stories of the origins of fire that survive to today. Most of us are familiar with the ancient Greek myth of Prometheus, the titan who stole fire from the gods to give to humanity. But were you aware that the theft of fire by a mythological hero for humanity's benefit is not a story unique to ancient Greece? In fact, a shockingly similar story is told by the Shoshone people of the Great Plains. In this tale, it is the trickster, Coyote, who, in his wandering, overhears people mourning those who died in the preceding winter and wishing that they had a piece of the sun in their teepees to see them through the cold. Taking pity on them, he decides to help. Coyote knows that these supernatural fire beings jealously guard their fire from humanity atop a mountain, and so he begins casing their camp, eventually realizing that this is not a theft he can execute alone. He goes down the mountain and shares humanity's plight with other figures, including squirrel, bear, and wood. At dawn the next morning, while the fire beings are slow, cold, and tired, Coyote dashes into their camp and steals their fire, and soon he is being chased down the mountain by the terrifying beings. The fire is passed between Coyote's allies, which also explains some of the particular features of Coyote and these other creatures, such as the tip of Coyote's tail turning white when burned to ash by the grasp of one of the pursuing fire beings. Eventually, the fire is passed to Wood, who hides it within himself, leaving the fire beings to give up, no longer able to retrieve their prize. After they leave, Coyote shows humanity how to free fire from the wood and use it to their own benefit. This story is surprisingly similar to that of Prometheus, even including the specific detail of the fire being guarded atop a mountain. And it's not the only similar story out there. Many other indigenous groups of North America share a version of this story of fire's origins, with tribes such as the Algonquin, Mazatec, and Cherokee attributing the theft of fire to other trickster figures, such as Rabbit, Opossum, and Grandmother Spider, respectively. Variations on this tale also appear in other unrelated peoples all across the planet, from the San of southern Africa to the Wurundjeri of eastern Australia. This collective mythology speaks to a species-wide reckoning with the paradoxical nature of fire. It is an immensely powerful natural force, capable of acts of apocalyptic destruction, that we have inexplicably found ourselves using to cook our dinner. How else could we have received such mundane dominion over something so dangerous, unless we were granted this gift by a mischievous supernatural being? These tales reckon the primal force of fire with the helpful tool, and in doing so, further emphasize and mythologize its importance to our lives.